Well, let's bring in Laura Ingraham now, anchor of the Ingraham Angle and former law clerk to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Laura, great to have you on the program today. We do expect that the court will resume here in just moments from now. Would love to know your thoughts as we head into another day of this.
Well, in listening to what's been happening and reading the transcripts, rough transcripts of what's come out of today, it seems like the Trump, haters out there and some of the other networks and their legal analysts, they're very concerned because it looks like through this cross-examination of the prosecution's witness, Mr. Pecker, the Trump team has successfully normalized what American Media Inc. had been doing for many, many years for high-profile people, which is to get rid of inconvenient stories, grabbing onto the stories and basically making them go away for a fee. That this was nothing new, and that was kind of the sensational thing that I think a lot of the prosecution's focus was on in the preceding days. And I think they took a lot of the wind out of their sails today, and I think that's not easily rehabilitated in a redirect.
Although, Laura, there are some legal observers out there who say that the prosecution made a couple of very significant points. One was that they got David Pecker to tie the Karen McDougal payment to the campaign, not actually to the campaign itself, because the campaign didn't pay for it, but to the idea of protecting the campaign. And then the fact that Pecker buying Karen McDougal's story and killing it was not in the National Enquirer's interest. What probably would have been in the National Enquirer's interest was to publish the darn thing.
Well, none of those catch and kill stories are in, I would say, immediately in the publishing world's interest. They could perhaps sell more copies. At any given time, they make a judgment call about whether it works or whether it doesn't. Maybe they're friendly one week with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe they're anti-Bill Clinton another month, and maybe he's friends with Trump. But the question at hand here is not whether any of this is unseemly or it's bad bookkeeping. It's whether a crime was committed in the way this bookkeeping was done. This has to be done in furtherance of a crime. And they've been on shifting sands on exactly what they're trying to argue here. I'm not the first one to say this, but I think they're trying to make a dead dog bark here with this case. Is there some salacious stuff? Yeah, that's why they're talking about the salacious stuff, because the bookkeeping and administrative side of this is pretty darn boring, and I would say in many ways, for a high-profile figure who maybe has gotten into some hot water, quite conventional.
Laura, considering your experience with the Supreme Court, I wanted to ask you about the immunity and the immunity case, which the former president said he wished he could have been at the Supreme Court for yesterday, and what will come from that. If our team could tee up, this was the sound from the former president, Donald Trump, yesterday. As he was emerging from the trial here in New York, he said what he had heard happened at the Supreme Court on the immunity case. CF14, thank you.
Yesterday, I think in the Supreme Court having to do with immunity, I heard the argument was brilliant. I listened to it last night. I thought it was really great. All presidents have to have immunity. You don't have a president, certainly not a president that the founders wanted.
So he heard it was brilliant. He heard it went well, really great. What did you think of those the oral arguments?
I loved every minute of this oral argument. It was supposed to go an hour. It went like 2 hours and almost 40 minutes. And I was mad too that I wasn't there because I really wanted to be in the courtroom. But it's clear that a majority of the justices, at least 5, but probably more like 6, see that they're opening up a real can of worms. If they give the government, the special prosecutor's office, what they want, which is no immunity, period. There's really no immunity for the president here for any criminal matters. Remember, the distinction has to be made when you really think about what's going to happen in the future between private acts and official acts. Yeah. And it seems to me that the court was leaning toward the idea of remanding this case to the district court with guidance, general guidance about what could constitute official versus purely private, which was, again, running out to the street and just shooting someone willy-nilly for your own personal gain. Trump argues, and I think has some legitimate points here, that he was doing this in furtherance of what he believed was best for the country as the current president of the United States. I think it's going to be very tough for them to get any trial, if this even goes forward, done before the election, which in itself, in and of itself, I think is at least a partial win for President Trump.
I thought what was really interesting about yesterday's proceedings was it was probably more on the conservative side than anything, but the judges weren't looking at this in terms of a Donald Trump case. They were looking at the bigger picture. And I think it was Brett Kavanaugh who said to the prosecutor who was arguing this case, look, this is not about Donald Trump. This is a decision for the ages. And so we have to base this on the future. Or maybe it was Alito said, we have to base this on the future, not what's going on right now.
Look, they take their job seriously, okay? And it doesn't matter if you're a Republican appointee or a Democrat appointee. The court as an institution has a very important decision to make here. And it isn't just about Trump. This will affect every president going forward. And remember, Kavanaugh was a top staffer for George W. Bush in the White House during the Bush years. And remember, every other 5 minutes, the Bush administration was being accused of being, his being a war criminal, black sites, illegal interrogations. And so Kavanaugh had his own experience with that as staff secretary in the White House, just in the presence of all that happening at that time. So could George W. Bush have been brought up on criminal charges after he left office? Obama for drone strikes? It goes on and on and on, going back into history. So I think the justices were very, very keen to find some type of middle ground here. And the distinction is going to be immunity for truly official acts versus purely private acts, which I think most of them would say there is no immunity for. But that's going to be the rub down at the remand. If it goes the way I suspect it will go.
Laura, great to have you on. Thank you for joining us.
And we all have blue. Look,
yes.
John has the blue tie. You have the blue top. And I heard, so I wore light blue. I think it's coordinating perfectly. It's great to be with you guys.
I hope you continue to coordinate
7
7 o'clock tonight.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.